Chapter 1. Today is the day. Hello, everyone. Today is the day. You may ask, what day is it? Well, today is the day you stop doubting yourself. Today is the day you take one small step toward learning English. You don't need to be perfect today, but you must begin. Do you know what they say? A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. This phrase always makes me smile. It reminds me that we all start somewhere, even if that place feels very small at first. I want to share with you a story. It is a story about Ava. Ava is a girl I once knew. She lived in a small town and spoke no English, not even a little. Ava had a big dream. She dreamed of becoming a nurse and working in a hospital in another country. But there was one problem. She could not speak or understand English very well. Every time she heard someone speaking English, she felt afraid. She thought, "It is too hard. I could never do this." One day, Ava's friend Bella told her something very wise. Bella said, "Ava, the more you doubt, the harder it feels. But the more you try, the easier it gets. Just start. Today is the day." Ava thought about it. She wanted to give up, but then she decided to give it a try. She decided to learn 5 new English words every day. 5 words. Not 10, not 20, just 5. On the first day, Ava learned the words hello, goodbye, please, thank you, and sorry. She practiced them over and over. She said them in front of the mirror. She whispered them to herself before bed. She even wrote them down in her notebook many times. The next day, she added 5 more words, and then 5 more after that. Day by day, Ava's list of words grew longer. At first, she felt shy speaking these words to others. She was afraid people would laugh at her. Then one day, Ava went to the market. The man at the fruit stall asked her something in English. For a moment, Ava froze. Then, she said the word she had practiced. "Sorry." The man smiled and said, "It's okay." That moment gave her courage. She realized it's okay to make mistakes. Slowly, she started speaking more and more. A great thing began to happen. The more she spoke, the more confident she felt. The more she listened, the more she understood. She also started reading small books in English. The books were not too hard. They had short sentences and pictures, but they helped her understand how to use the words she learned. She read little by little. The more she read, the stronger her vocabulary became. This reminds me of something I always tell my students. Learning English is like planting a tree. You plant a small seed by learning your first word. Then you water the seed by practicing every day. Maybe at first you do not see anything grow, but one day you look and a little green sprout is there. That's your progress. It starts small, but if you take care of it, if you are patient, it grows into a big tree. Ava's tree did start to grow. After a few months, she could have small conversations in English. She could ask questions like, "Where is the bus stop?" or "How much does this cost?" She could tell people her name, her age, and her favorite food. She still made mistakes, but she didn't stop. She kept learning every day. One day, Ava met a nurse from a hospital. The nurse was visiting her town and spoke only English. Ava was nervous, but she tried her best. She said, "Hello, my name is Ava. I want to learn to be a nurse." To her surprise, the nurse smiled and said, "Your English is good. Keep going." That moment was special to Ava. It showed her that people are kind and they appreciate effort. Do you see, my friends? Learning English is not about becoming perfect in one day. It's about making progress little by little. Just like Ava, you can learn a few words each day. You can practice speaking them, writing them, and listening to others say them. The more you focus, the faster you improve. You may feel shy now, but I promise, the more you speak, the more confident you will feel. Sometimes we all feel scared to try something new. I remember when I tried to bake my first cake, I made so many mistakes. I forgot to add sugar the first time. But the second time, I tried again, and the cake turned out better. Learning English is like that too. You might forget a word or say the wrong thing, but every time you try, you get one step closer to being better. I want you to think about Ava the next time you feel afraid. Think about how she started with just 5 words a day. If she can do it, so can you. Tell yourself, today is the day. Take out your notebook, write a few words, and start practicing. Remember, there is no perfect time to begin. The best time is always now. If you're watching this and feel stuck, tell me in the comments below, what is the hardest part of learning English for you? Is it speaking, listening, writing? I would love to know. We are all here to learn together. The more we share, the more we grow. So, my friends, remember this. It is okay to make mistakes. Mistakes are your teachers. It is okay to start small. Small steps lead to big changes. Just like Ava, your hard work will pay off. One day, you will look back and you will see how far you've come. You will feel proud of yourself. The more you practice patience, the calmer you feel. The more you listen, the clearer it gets. The more you speak, the more confident you feel. So, my friends, is today the day for you? I think it is. Let's take that first step together. You are capable and you are strong. Chapter 2. Success is yours to claim. Did you know that success doesn't come overnight? It doesn't knock on your door and say, "Here I am." Success comes when you work for it, little by little, every single day. It's always there, waiting for you, but you have to take the steps to reach it. As they say, the harder you work for something, the greater you'll feel when you achieve it. These words remind me of an incredible story I once heard. I want to tell you about an amazing young man named Jacob. Jacob grew up in a small city where people mostly spoke his native language. He had never traveled outside his city, and English was something he thought only famous or rich people needed to learn. He didn't think it was for someone like him. But Jacob had a dream, a very special one. He dreamed of becoming a pilot. He loved airplanes and clouds and always imagined himself flying high in the sky. But there was one big mountain Jacob had to climb. To become a pilot, he needed to speak and understand English. All the classes for pilots were in English. The exams were in English. Even the words pilots used during flights were in English. Jacob felt scared. He wasn't very good at English, and every time he tried to speak, he felt embarrassed. He thought other people would make fun of him. One day, Jacob's older sister, Abigail, gave him a piece of advice that changed his life. She told him, "Success is yours to claim. But first, you have to believe it's possible. If you work on your English a little every day, you will get better. The more you try, the closer you get to your dream." Those words stayed with Jacob. He decided to stop being afraid and start learning. On the first day, Jacob wrote down 10 simple sentences in his notebook. Sentences like, "My name is Jacob," and "I want to be a pilot," and "I love airplanes." He read these sentences again and again. He said them out loud in his room where no one could hear him. At first, his words sounded funny to him. He was sure he was saying everything wrong, but he didn't stop. He kept going. Jacob also started listening to English on the radio. He didn't understand much in the beginning. The words sounded so fast, and it felt like people were just throwing sounds at him. But he remembered his sister's words. The harder you work, the closer you get. He listened every night, even if it seemed hard. Soon he started catching familiar words. Words like hello, welcome, and thank you. One small breakthrough came when he went to a park one day. There was a tourist family who looked lost. Jacob was scared at first, but then he decided to help them. He walked up to them and said, "Hello, can I help you?" The family seemed surprised, but smiled and said, "Yes, thank you." Jacob couldn't believe it. He had used his English, and it worked. That little moment gave him the confidence to speak more. Jacob then went to the library and borrowed children's books written in English. He thought, if kids can read them, I can too. The books had simple words and pictures which made learning fun. He read one book, then another, and then another. The more he read, the stronger his vocabulary became. One of the most amazing moments of Jacob's journey happened after 6 months. His city held a small event where people could come and share their stories in English. Jacob's heart was pounding, but he decided to go. When it was his turn, he stood up and said, "Hello, my name is Jacob. I want to become a pilot. I am learning English because this is my dream." The audience cheered for him. Some even clapped. Jacob's face turned red, but he was proud. He knew that moment was his. Over time, Jacob became more fluent. He started attending English classes in the evening. He made friends who also wanted to learn. They practiced speaking together, and it made learning fun and less scary. He realized that learning English wasn't just about books or grammar, it was about connection. The more he practiced with his friends, the more confident he felt. After 2 years of hard work, Jacob applied to a pilot training program. He had to take an English test as part of the application. It was tough, and there were times he wanted to give up. But Jacob remembered his sister's advice. Success is yours to claim. He stayed focused and took the test. When he got the results, he cried. He passed. His dream was now within reach. Jacob's story teaches us something very important. Success doesn't come to those who wait for it to appear magically. Success comes to those who work for it, step by step, without giving up. Jacob's journey wasn't easy, but he didn't let fear stop him. He made mistakes, he felt embarrassed, but he kept going anyway. Now, I want you to think about your own journey. Maybe you feel like Jacob did at the start, scared, shy, or unsure. But remember, success is yours to claim. Start small, just like Jacob. Write a few sentences in English. Practice saying them out loud. Listen to English songs or watch easy English videos. Take every chance to speak, even if it feels hard. The more you practice, the easier it becomes. The more you listen, the clearer English gets. The more you believe in yourself, the closer you get to your dreams. If Jacob can do it, I believe you can too. If you feel inspired by his story, tell me in the comments about your dream. What does success mean to you? Remember, you are capable of great things. Keep trying, and one day, success will be yours to claim. Chapter 3. Live your best life. Let me ask you something. What does living your best life mean to you? Is it about happiness? Is it about peace? Is it about achieving your dreams? For me, living your best life means feeling content, calm, and alive, no matter where you are or what you have. It's about finding joy in small, everyday moments, but most importantly, it's about being present and mindful in this very moment, right here, right now. As they say, you only live once, but if you do it right, once is enough. Isn't that a beautiful thought? Today, I want to share an ancient Zen story with you. It is simple, yet its meaning is timeless. It teaches us how to live our best life by focusing on what truly matters. Imagine you are sitting quietly in a peaceful garden as I tell you this story. Let's begin. Once upon a time, there was a wise monk named Master Hero. He lived in a small monastery on a mountain. People came from far and wide to ask for his advice. They would ask about happiness, success, and how to solve their problems. One day, a young man visited Master Hero. He looked very troubled. The young man said, "Master, my life feels so difficult. I am always running from one thing to another. I feel like I'm chasing happiness, but I can never reach it. I am worried about the future and regret my past. I don't know how to live my best life. Please, help me." Master Hero looked at the young man with kind eyes and said, "Come, walk with me." They walked to a small river near the monastery. The water in the river was clear and calm. The young man could see fish swimming gently below the surface. Master Hero picked up a jar and filled it with river water. He then scooped up some mud from the riverbank and dropped it into the jar. The clear water became muddy and dark, so dark you couldn't see through it anymore. The young man watched silently. He didn't understand what the master was doing. "Now," said the master, handing the jar to the young man, "shake it as hard as you can." The young man did as he was told. He shook the jar until his arms were tired. The water in the jar became even muddier after all the shaking. He looked at the master and said, "It's hopeless. No matter how hard I try, the water won't become clear again." The master smiled, but didn't say anything. He simply placed the jar on a flat rock and told the young man to wait. Minutes passed, then 10, then 20. Slowly, the mud inside the jar began to settle at the bottom. Soon the water became clear again, just like the river. Master Hero finally spoke. "You see, young one, the water is like our mind and our life. When we are shaking it with distractions, worries, and regrets, everything becomes unclear. We cannot see the path forward. But if we stop, if we let the mind settle and rest, clarity will come on its own." The young man thought deeply about the master's words. "So, what should I do, master, when I feel lost or stuck?" The master smiled again and said, "Do less. Sit still. Breathe. Don't fight the mud or the chaos. Let it settle. When your mind is quiet, the answers will appear. Living your best life does not mean rushing or chasing. It means being, simply being, in this present moment." Isn't that story beautiful and calming? It teaches us an important lesson. Sometimes we think that living our best life means doing more, achieving more, or fixing everything that feels broken. But the truth is, sometimes the best way to live is to pause, breathe, and let life settle, just like the muddy jar. Let peace come to you. This story reminds me of something I always tell people who are learning English. I say, don't let the stress of perfection stop you. Don't shake your mind with fear or frustration. Just take it step by step. If you're feeling overwhelmed, take a moment to settle your thoughts. Maybe go for a walk, listen to some calm music, or take a deep breath. When your mind becomes clear again, learning becomes easier. So, my friends, I want you to remember this story whenever you feel stuck in life. Living your best life is not about doing many things at once. It is about letting the mud settle so you can see clearly. Be kind to yourself. Be patient. When your mind is calm, you'll find happiness right where you are. If this story touched your heart, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. What are the ways you let your mind settle? Do you find peace in walking, meditating, or writing? I'd love to hear about it. And remember, the more you practice clarity, the simpler life becomes. The more you embrace calmness, the brighter your days feel. Live your best life, one peaceful moment at a time. You deserve it. Chapter 4. Every step counts. Let me say something powerful today. Every step you take, no matter how small, matters. Even the tiniest step you take toward your goals is a step closer to making them real. Sometimes it feels like we're not moving fast enough, or the dream is too big, or there are too many obstacles in the way. But you know what? The secret to achieving great things is simple. Keep going, step by step. As they say, small steps in the right direction can turn out to be the biggest step of your life. This idea of small steps is not just for people like me or you. It is true even for the greatest minds in history. Today, let's talk about a very special person, one of the most famous scientists the world has ever known, Thomas Alva Edison. I'm sure you've heard of him, right? He's the man who gave us the electric light bulb, a gift that changed how we live forever. But what many people don't know is how many steps Edison had to take before he reached success. Let's go back in time to the 19th century. Edison was born in 1847 in a small town in Ohio, USA. He wasn't born into a rich or powerful family. He wasn't a genius when he was a child, and he didn't have access to the best schools. In fact, his teachers thought he wasn't very smart. Imagine how hurtful that must have felt. But Edison didn't let that stop him. Instead of letting their words bring him down, he decided to prove them wrong. And how did he do that? By working hard every single day, one small step at a time. As a child, Edison was very curious. He loved to ask questions like, "Why does this happen?" or "How does that work?" His curiosity made him take apart things like clocks and machines just to see how they functioned. He didn't always put them back together correctly, of course, and his family wasn't always happy about it. But he was learning, little by little. Now let's talk about his famous invention, the electric light bulb. Before Edison's time, people used candles, oil lamps, or gas lamps for light. They worked, but they were dangerous and not very efficient. Edison dreamed of creating a new kind of light, a safe, reliable, and long-lasting electric light bulb. But here's the thing, no one believed it could be done. People thought he was wasting his time. Did that stop him? No, it didn't. Edison started experimenting. He tried this, and it didn't work. He tried that, and it didn't work. He failed not just once or twice, but over 10,000 times. Yes, you heard that correctly. Over 10,000 failures. Can you imagine failing so many times but still not giving up? Edison kept going because he believed in his dream. Once a journalist asked him how he felt about failing so many times. Do you know what he said? He replied, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Isn't that an amazing way to look at life? Every step that did not work was still a step forward, because it brought him closer to the solution. And finally, after many years of hard work, Edison created the first practical electric light bulb. His small steps, his persistence, and his belief in himself gave the world something incredible. But Edison's story doesn't end there. His light bulb wasn't the only invention he gave to the world. He created the phonograph, which was the first machine that could record and play sound. He also worked on improving batteries and developed many other important technologies. By the end of his life, Edison held over 1,000 patents for his inventions. All of this happened step by step, with hard work and dedication. Now, you might be wondering, what does Edison's story have to do with your life? Let me tell you. Sometimes we think we need to be smart right away or succeed on our first try. We think that if we fail, it means we are not good enough. But look at Edison's story. It wasn't his intelligence that made him a great inventor. It was his determination. He didn't let failure stop him. Instead, he took every failure as a lesson. Let me give you an example of how you can follow Edison's mindset, even when you're learning English. Maybe today you only know how to say a few words. Maybe you tried to speak once, and someone laughed at you. Maybe you made a mistake while writing or forgot the correct pronunciation of a word. Does that mean you should give up? No. Just like Edison, every step matters. Every new word you learn, every mistake you correct, and every time you speak, these are steps forward. Remember, the more you practice, the easier it becomes. Maybe today you only understand a little bit of an English movie, but tomorrow you will understand a little more. Maybe now you can write a sentence, but in a few months you will write full paragraphs. The important thing is to take one step at a time. You may not even realize how far you've come until one day, like Edison, you look back and say, "Wow, I did it."
So, my friends, let Edison's story inspire you. Success is not about being perfect. It is about trying, failing, learning, and trying again. It is about believing that every small step is worth taking. Whether your dream is to speak fluent English, start a new career, or achieve something personal, never forget this. Every step counts. Even when the step feels small, it is moving you forward. If this story about Edison inspired you, I would love to hear about your own small steps. What are you working on today that will lead to a brighter tomorrow? Leave a comment and let me know. And remember, no dream is too big if you are willing to take the steps to reach it. Keep going, my friends. Every step you take brings you closer to your own bright future. You are capable and you are strong. Just start, and success will find its way to you. Chapter 5. Atomic Habits. Let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered how the smallest actions can create the biggest changes? It's like drops of water filling a jar. One by one, they seem so tiny, but give it time, and the jar will overflow. This is the power of habits, and it reminds me of a saying, small changes in your daily routine can lead to big improvements in your life. Isn't that exciting to think about? With consistent effort, even small habits can bring you closer to living your best life. Speaking of small changes leading to big outcomes, it reminds me of a beautiful lesson from an animal I absolutely adore, the hummingbird. Have you ever seen a hummingbird? It's a tiny, colorful bird, not much bigger than a person's thumb. They're light, graceful, and always moving. But don't let their small size fool you. Hummingbirds are one of the most hard-working creatures you'll ever find in nature.
Let's step into their world for a moment. A hummingbird's life is built on small, consistent habits. Every day it has one big goal: find enough nectar to survive. Nectar, as you may know, is the sweet liquid found inside flowers. To reach this goal, the hummingbird flutters around flower after flower, sipping small drops of nectar from each one. It doesn't take all the nectar from a single flower. It leaves some for other animals. It doesn't rush or get overwhelmed. It just keeps moving from one flower to the next, drop by drop, sip by sip. Now here's where it gets fascinating. A hummingbird beats its wings about 70 times per second, 70 factorial. That's a tiny yet powerful habit that keeps it in motion. And guess how many flowers it visits in just one day? A hummingbird can visit up to 1,000 flowers in a single day. That's right. It's not strong or big like an eagle, but its steady, day-by-day habits give it the energy to survive and thrive. It might not seem like one flower makes a difference, but over time, all those small sips of nectar add up to something huge. And do you know what makes this even more amazing? Hummingbirds don't stop or give up when things get tough. Sometimes they have to fly very far to find flowers. Sometimes there's a heavy wind or rain. But they don't let challenges stop them. They keep at it because they know the importance of their small atomic habits. They trust the process. This teaches us a beautiful lesson, doesn't it? To start a big change in life, you don't need to do something big all at once. Just like the hummingbird, you can start small. Maybe today, you can learn one new English word. Maybe tomorrow you can use that word in a sentence. Over a week, a month, a year, these little efforts grow into big progress. You build your skills, little by little. It's like what I always tell my students when they feel overwhelmed. Don't focus on how far you still have to go. Focus on taking the next step today. Think of yourself like the hummingbird. You don't need to fly to 1,000 flowers right now. Just find your first flower and take one sip. Your small daily habits will add up over time. One word learned today. One sentence spoken tomorrow. One paragraph read next week. There's another interesting thing about hummingbirds that I want to share. Have you noticed how focused they are? When they hover near a flower, their mind isn't thinking about the flowers they already visited or worrying about how many more they need to find. They live in the moment. They focus on that one flower in front of them because they know each flower matters. What if we could do that too? Instead of worrying about how much we haven't learned, what if we just focused on today's task? If your goal is speaking fluent English, don't stress about perfection. Just focus on that one flower in front of you. Maybe a short conversation, maybe watching a simple TV show in English. The more you focus on the present, the easier it feels. I really love hummingbirds because they show us how little things can lead to greatness. They're small, true, but their consistent habits allow them to survive, travel, and live vibrant lives. They never give up, even when they face strong winds or a storm. They trust the small steps they take will lead them to their goal. Now think about your own goals. Is there something you've been wanting to do but feel it's too big or difficult? Maybe you want to learn to write in English, or speak so fluently that people don't have to guess what you're saying. Maybe you want to read a book in English without stopping to check every word. Whatever your goal is, remember this: you don't need to reach it all at once. Let the hummingbird remind you that even tiny efforts have value. Every little habit matters. Let me end with a thought for you to carry in your heart. Big things happen when you focus on small steps, taken consistently. Your atomic habits, no matter how small, have the power to shape your future. So, pick one small thing to start today. It could be a word, a sentence, or anything. Let your progress bloom like the flowers a hummingbird visits, one by one, yet full of purpose. If you've ever been inspired by nature's wisdom, share your thoughts in the comments below. What are the little things you're doing every day to grow? I'd love to hear about it. And always remember, my friends, just like the hummingbird, your small efforts will bring you closer to something beautiful. Trust the process. Trust yourself. Every sip, every step counts. Chapter 6. Trust the process. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt frustrated because your dreams seem so far away? Maybe you've tried something new, but it feels like you're not making progress fast enough. Maybe you start wondering, is this even working? Should I just give up? If this sounds familiar, let me tell you something powerful. Trust the process. These 3 little words can change how you see your journey. They are a reminder that success doesn't happen all at once. It unfolds step by step as long as you stay dedicated. You see, life has its own rhythm. Whether you're learning a language, starting a new career, or trying to master a skill, growth takes time. Just like seeds planted in soil don't grow into flowers overnight. Your efforts today might not show results immediately. But don't mistake silence for failure. Underneath the surface, changes are happening. Progress is being made. You just have to be patient and, most importantly, trust. One of the best examples of this is learning English. I know it can feel overwhelming sometimes. You get stuck while speaking, or maybe you can't remember a word, or the grammar feels confusing. You might say, "It's too hard. I'll never get it right." But here's the truth. Every time you practice, every time you make a mistake and correct it, you're growing. Little by little, you're moving closer to fluency. Every step matters, even when it's not obvious at first. So don't stop. Trust the process. Here's something I always remind my students. Your efforts are like drops of water filling a jar. You may not see the jar filling up immediately, but with consistency one day, you'll notice it's full. This means that even the smallest actions, like learning one word a day or practicing one sentence, add up over time. The more you practice, the clearer things will get. The more you focus, the faster you'll improve. But you have to have faith in the process. Growth is not always visible, but it is always happening. Another thing to remember is that ups and downs are a natural part of the journey. Just because today feels hard doesn't mean tomorrow will be the same. Some days you'll feel like you're making great progress, and other days you might feel stuck. That's okay. Think of it like climbing a mountain. Sometimes the path is smooth, and other times you hit a bump. What's important is that you keep climbing. Even when it feels slow, you're still moving upward. Trust the process. Here's a small but helpful idea. Instead of focusing on the big result you want, like speaking perfect English, focus on the small actions you can take today. Can you read for 10 minutes? Can you learn 3 new words? Can you practice one conversation with a friend? These small, everyday actions are what create big results over time. The more you embrace the process, the easier it becomes. It's also important to be kind to yourself as you grow. Remember, learning anything new takes courage and effort. Don't compare your journey to someone else's. Everyone has their own pace, and that's okay. You're not in a race. The more patient you are with yourself, the calmer you'll feel. And the calmer you feel, the more confident you'll become. Trust yourself as much as you trust the process. Let me leave you with this thought. Great things take time, and time rewards those who keep going. Whatever you're working toward, whether it's learning English or something else, don't rush the result. Focus on the progress you're making, one step at a time. Stay steady, stay hopeful, and most importantly, trust the process. Your hard work will pay off. If you've ever felt stuck or impatient on your journey, share your thoughts in the comments below. What are you working on, and how do you remind yourself to keep going? I'd love to hear your experiences because we're all growing together. Remember, progress may be slow, but it is powerful. Stay on the path, trust the process, and you'll get there. Chapter 7. Never underestimate your power. You are far stronger than you realize. It's easy to forget just how much potential lies within you. Doubts creep in, hesitation takes over, and self-criticism convinces you that you're not enough or that your actions don't matter. But the reality is this: you hold immense power within yourself. Every step you take, no matter how small, every choice you make, and every word you speak carries the potential to spark change and create something extraordinary. Believe in your ability to make a difference, because even the smallest ripple can grow into a wave of greatness. Think about it. Everything big in this world started small. A big river begins with just one drop of water. A huge forest grows from one tiny seed. And you can do the same. You can start something big, even if your first step feels very small. That is why you should always believe in yourself and never think your power is too little. When you're learning something new, like English, it's normal to feel unsure. You might think, why should I try? I don't know many words. My pronunciation isn't good. What if I make mistakes? But these thoughts only stop you from seeing how much you can do. Every new word you learn and every sentence you practice shows your strength. You're improving, even if you don't see it right away. Here's something amazing to remember. Your effort today is the foundation for your success tomorrow. Maybe today, your English is filled with pauses and mistakes. But every bit of practice you do, no matter how imperfect, is making your future self stronger and more confident. Never underestimate the power of showing up and trying, even when it feels difficult. Sometimes we wait for the perfect moment or the perfect skill level to begin. But perfection isn't the goal. Progress is. Just like a ripple in water can grow into a wave, your small actions can grow into a big change. The power to begin, no matter how small, is what sets you apart. And once you start, you'll begin to see how capable you truly are. Remember this: the more you believe in your power, the more unstoppable you become. Believing in yourself isn't about being perfect or fearless. It's about knowing that every step counts and every effort matters. Whether you're writing your first sentence in English or speaking with someone for the first time, you're proving your strength with every attempt. If you ever start doubting yourself, remind yourself of this simple truth. You have what it takes. You have power in your words, your actions, and even your mistakes. Yes, mistakes. Every mistake is a lesson, and every lesson makes you stronger. The fact that you're learning, trying, and growing shows how much power you truly have. So, go ahead, use your power. Speak the words even if they feel awkward. Write the sentence even if it's not perfect. Take the step even if it feels small. Little by little, your actions will lead to something amazing. Never ever underestimate the difference you can make by simply believing in yourself and putting in the work. If this message makes you think about all the things you've been holding back on, pause for a moment and ask yourself, what can I do today to use my power? Maybe it's practicing for 5 minutes, trying something new, or facing a small fear. Whatever it is, go for it. Show yourself just how strong you are. The world needs what you have to offer, your voice, your skills, your ideas. Don't hold them back. Trust in your power because it's there, waiting for you to use it. You're capable of more than you know. The future is yours to create. One step, one word, one action at a time. Never underestimate your power. It's greater than you think.